Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster May, good evening, it's 5:30. This is Update for Wednesday, 6th of September 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man. Background to that news and sport with business and Sea-Watch and travel updates and the newsmakers in person. This evening, the latest on next week's nurses' strike. Why no premium bond winners from the Isle of Man? Scoill Vallajeelt's traffic problems and MHK speaks. The Ravens in action on Merseyside tonight. Keeping your pet cool in the heat here at the home of the halfway horse tram.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the update news headlines. Faster My, Dave Moore.
Faster My, Manx Care says further pay offers for nurses on the Isle of Man are not possible due to what they call an exhausted funding envelope. The health body's response follows the announcement that nurses are due to strike for 3 days. There are no concerns at King William's College about the concrete used across its estate. The private school says a survey's already determined there are no RAAC elements at the site or at the Buchan in Castletown. FC Isle of Man are in action this evening when they play away at Pilkington in the North West Counties Football League Premier Division. A victory could see them move up into second place in the table. Elsewhere, a soldier charged with terrorism offences has gone on the run from a prison in South London. 21-year-old Daniel Khalif, who's also accused of breaking the Official Secrets Act, fled from Wandsworth Jail this morning. Jenny Hermoso's filed a formal complaint over the kiss by FA chief Luis Rubiales. The Spanish footballer was kissed on the lips after her World Cup victory. She says it wasn't consensual. And controversial legislation that would end historical prosecutions related to the Troubles has passed the Commons. The law change is opposed by every political party in Northern Ireland. Those are the update news headlines. The next bulletin is at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goromaya, thank you, Dave. From the Ronaldsway Met Office, no wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is smooth or slight. And this evening, dry with some late sunshine. Clear spells overnight. Light to moderate easterly breeze. Lowest temperatures 15 degrees. And for Jordan, dry with sunny spells tomorrow. Some isolated showers coming in on a light easterly, but not many. Top temperatures 24 Celsius. Going to be dry after dark. Overnight minimum 16. And for Jehenya, dry and sunny on Friday. A light easterly turning south or southwesterly. Daylight maximums 22. Possibility of some coastal mist Friday evening. Sunset this evening, 2 minutes before 8. Low waters, 4 minutes past 11. High tide, 10 past 5 a.m. Sunrise, 24 minutes before 7 in the morning. Low water at 19 minutes to midday.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Nurses on the Isle of Man will strike next week as part of an ongoing row over pay and conditions. The Royal College of Nursing Union has confirmed its members will take industrial action on the 14th of September from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. The story from Siobhan Fletcher.
In addition to the strikes announced for next week, 2 further 12-hour strikes have also been announced. They'll take place from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Wednesday the 18th and Thursday the 19th of October. Further details about picket lines will follow in due course. This is the latest in a series of protests over pay to be held this summer, with RCN members first taking strike action in July and subsequently holding a protest march and bus tour of the island to raise public awareness of the need for fair pay for nursing. In a statement, the RCN's regional director for the North West of England, Stephanie Dunn, said recent offers made to our members are an insult. The nursing workforce has seen their cost of living soar and demand on services increase without adequate staffing levels in place. They are exhausted exhausted, overworked and underpaid for the level of responsibility they have. The RCN has made it clear to both Manx Care and the government that opening negotiations and making meaningful offers can avert strike action. Until there is a significantly improved offer, we will be forced back to the picket line. Responding to the announcement, Manx Care released the following statement to Manx Radio, voiced here by Beth Espy.
Manx Care respects and acknowledges our colleagues' right to take industrial action. Equally, we are aware of the disruption this will undoubtedly cause to patients, service users, members of the public and our colleagues who work to provide cover during the forthcoming strike periods. Manx Care remains open to dialogue with RCN members. However, our options remain limited due to our financial constraints and having exhausted our funding envelope. All funding that has been received by the organisation to be used for pay awards has already been used to fund pay awards. Given the current financial position that Manx Care faces, making any further pay offer at this point is not possible, and Manx Care is seeking support from DHSC to assist in resolving this matter.
A Douglas South MHK says she won't stop calling on the Department of Infrastructure to implement traffic calming measures near a primary school in her constituency. Sarah Maltby and a political colleague, Claire Christian MHK, have asked for something to be done near Scoill Vallajeelt on Meadow Crescent. Today marks the start of the new school term, with many families travelling to the school for the first time.
There's lots of initiatives for the active travel walking to school schemes, and they are fantastic, but by their very design they encourage more people to walk to school. And when you have a school which is within a cul-de-sac estate, you have residents that don't have children that need to leave the area and get to work, and it's all around the same time. So it's one of those things where you don't want to overbuild the infrastructure, but you do want to find a happy medium. So what we did was ask the DOI if they would be happy to install some speed indicators, just reminding people that, you know, we're coming back to school, and it's just kind of a polite reminder to people to be aware that there will be children crossing the road at Scoill Vallajeelt. We do take this matter seriously. It is an issue that I personally deal with every morning and every evening when I collect my children, and it's not something that I'm going to lay down and let continue in this way.
Do you remain hopeful that it will be sorted, or do you feel as though it's other issues are coming before this?
Funding is an issue that we are told is a problem for them, but I have heard also that they feel like a safe crossing place wouldn't be the answer for that area. Now, if that's what their engineers are saying, then who am I to disagree with them? I'm not an engineer. I'm just a parent who attends the school with their children, and I see the issues. But if they can come up with a solution that's going to make this problem less of an issue for the residents and for the children, most importantly, then I'm all open for the solution that they come up with. It's at the moment, doing nothing is not an option in my books.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
FC Isle of Man are away in St Helens tonight as they face Pilkington in the NWCFL Premier Division. Paul Jones is back in charge of the Manx side after a 4-game absence. The Ravens could go third in the table with a win tonight, depending on results around them.
We trained last night. You know, we've had some good conversations. I've watched the games. You know, so it's kind of business as usual, really. We're still trying to build our performance levels and build on how we're trying to play game by game. And, you know, I think all the players and the coaches kind of did that. Obviously, you know, the result against Skelmersdale wasn't what we wanted it to be, but the chance creation was reasonably good that game, and we just didn't quite see it through. So, you know, it's just building on what we're trying to do, really, and this is another opportunity to do that against the side that started their time in the North West Counties Premier League after getting promoted last year really strongly. So it'll be a stiff test tonight. You look at all the promoted sides; they're flying, aren't they? They're doing really, really well. They mostly got the same management team. They've kept most of the squad, and that's maybe where we're a little bit similar to them in terms of, you know, maintaining player squads is actually quite important to get that kind of understanding. And if you've got big movements within player groups, it's really difficult to start the season well. So they've all kind of done well, and maybe that's because they've caught a few teams on the hop a little bit. Maybe it's not as easy to find out as information about them, and we've done as much as we can building into this game, but maybe it's not quite as much of a known quantity as some of the other teams we've faced already. So, you know, we're not going in under any illusions other than the fact it's going to be a very, very difficult game. And they've got some good results against some of the better teams in this league already this season. So, we're going to have to be towards one of our better performances this season to get anything out of the game. And tonight will be a difficult test, but I'm looking forward to seeing how we go.
Do you hold any premium bonds? Have you ever purchased any premium bonds? So why is it when premium bond winners are announced, they never seem to be from the Isle of Man? It's a mystery, and Dave Moore looks into it.
Premium bonds, or national savings and investments as they're now more formally known, were introduced in 1956 by then UK Prime Minister Harold Macmillan in a bid to control inflation and get people saving.
Give premium bonds the happy way to save.
Those who invest are entered into a monthly draw where prizes ranging from £25 to £1 million can be won. Even though they're issued by the United Kingdom government, anyone living in the Isle of Man's entitled to buy them. Each has a value of £1, and anyone wishing to buy must purchase a minimum of 25. However, when the monthly winners are announced, it seems those lucky enough to have been selected are always from the UK. Why is this? Well, there are strict rules in place to protect the identities of those chosen, and that means the locality of individuals is not revealed if the town they live in has less than 100,000 premium bonds owners. So, if a £1 million winner came from the Isle of Man, this would be listed as overseas. A spokesperson for NS&I says they're unaware of how many Manx people own premium bonds. However, they do know there are just under 40,000 holders in the Channel Islands. There are no rules or laws in place to prevent anyone born or living in a Crown dependency to buy them. All that's required is a bank account which accepts BACS transfers. Since the introduction of the £1 million jackpot, there have been 5 overseas winners. Now may be a good time for any bondholder in the Isle of Man to check those numbers again.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Well, the vessel Manxman left Heysham at 17 minutes before 3. She'll be into Douglas just gone 6 o'clock, round then onto the link span, and then out this evening. Ben McCree departs 8:15 to Heysham, getting there just before midnight. The overnight departure's 2:15 back to Douglas at 6. The high-speed craft Manannan left Douglas at 7 minutes to 3. She'll be in Liverpool right now, possibly on the link span already by the Liver building. Departing this evening at 7:15 back to Douglas at 10. Tomorrow morning's departures 8:45. Manxman heads to Heysham.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
A Ramsey man's been ordered to work with the probation service after telling his ex-wife he would make her life hell if she didn't go back with him. Here's Tessa Hawley.
Kevin James Hawley of North Shore Road was sentenced at Douglas Courthouse yesterday. He'd previously admitted committing a domestic abuse offence between the 16th of January and the 22nd of July. Hawley, the court was told, made a number of abusive phone calls to the woman in July, disguising his phone number so that she wouldn't know it was him ringing. He threatened the woman, swearing at her and telling her, "I'm going to knock everyone out. I'm going to take the kids off you. I'm going to take everything off you." Hawley also entered her home without permission, again telling her he would take everything from her. The 37-year-old's advocate told the court his client had lashed out due to his extreme frustration at everything, adding he's effectively been ranting. He's deeply ashamed. It's the classic mouth engaging before the brain, the advocate added. Obviously, it's not in the best interests of the children if their parents are at each other's throats. Imposing a 12-month probation order, Deputy High Bailiff Rachel Braidwood told Hawley this is completely unacceptable behaviour and won't be tolerated. She also ordered him to pay £125 in prosecution costs.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 16 minutes before 6, Halfords, the UK's largest retailer of motoring and cycling products and services, reported a jump in revenues today, underpinned by demand for motoring services. Chief Exec Graham Stapleton reported it's been a good start to the year for Halfords, and their ongoing focus on essential maintenance and servicing is driving strong performance in the auto centre and retail motoring business. Group motoring, which accounts for over 75% of total sales, is in a resilient sector, and they're progressing with long-term plans to become a one-stop shop for motoring ownership. And for a full daily market report, go to Ramsey Cross RamseyCrookall.com. Manchester United shares have seen their biggest ever one-day fall after a report that the team's US owners are taking it off the market. The club shares fell by more than 18% in New York yesterday after the Mail on Sunday reported no potential buyer had matched the club's asking price. The US-based Glazer family announced in November it was considering selling the Premier League club as they explored strategic alternatives. United's co-chairman, the brothers Joel and Avram Glazer, are holding out for an offer of 10 billion sterling, according to the Mail on Sunday. However, prospective bidders Sheikh Jassim of Qatar and British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe hadn't come close to offering that amount. The Mail on Sunday cited a source with long-standing close ties to the Glazer family, saying they may try again next year. Man United didn't respond to a BBC request for comment. Tuesday's share price fall wiped about $700 million, £556 million off Man United's stock market valuations. It's now valued at $3.2 billion. The Glazer family bought Manchester United in 2005 for $790 million.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European stocks closed lower as investors focused on the oil market outlook and inflation concerns after Saudi Arabia and Russia extended a set of voluntary oil supply cuts to the end of the year. The dollar held and oil reversed course on a firmer dollar. Gold languished on the strength of the dollar and Treasury yields. The numbers now from Ramsey Crookall reporting the FTSE 100 in London closed down just over 0.1% at 7,426. The DAX in Frankfurt down nearly 0.2% at 15,741. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial down almost 0.6% at 34,445. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index down over 1% at 13,874, and the S&P 500 in Chicago down almost 0.8% at 4,461. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 24.9 cents, €1 16.6 cents, and 24 South African rand 1.3 cents. In commodities, gold's down almost 0.5% currently, $1,916 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up 0.25% at $90.21.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
The Manx Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals warning us to think again about pets on the island as we're expecting day 3 of the heat wave to arrive. Yesterday saw the second warmest September day on record. A general manager at the MSPCA is Joanna Warburton.
We generally think cats can look after themselves, and I think when it comes to regulating their body temperature they can, but be careful if you have a cat with white ears or a pinky white nose, because they will need to be protected from the sun because they can get cancer. And the same goes with any rabbits, horses, any light coloured animal can get sunburn. But dogs in particular, we have so many different breeds that can cope better than others. A dog that copes well is probably a mongrel that just has
short coat.
Short coat is a reasonable body weight and it's quite agile. So basically is a Heinz 57 that's probably just adapted to life. The challenges come more with the pedigrees, more with the fashionable dogs, your French bulldogs, your pugs, even boxers, where they have short noses and they really struggle to breathe. So of course panting is the best way a dog can go about releasing heat.
Some people might be used to taking their dogs on pretty substantial walks. Should you lay off them in this time?
Absolutely. So again, hopefully it's common sense that you wouldn't walk at the hottest times of the day, and in particular don't walk on concrete or indeed on sand. Just put your hand onto it and imagine those pads of your dog's feet being on that surface for a period of time. They will burn, or they'll at least be very uncomfortable.
I suppose if you are out of work, make sure there's somewhere cool.
Yes, exactly. Shady places, lots of more than one drinking bowl with fresh water in it, possibly even put some ice in the water to keep it cool. But the one thing you shouldn't do is if you think your dog has got heat stroke, so it becomes lethargic, it might start vomiting, don't douse it with iced water because the shock of that could actually be very damaging.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Faster my Rob Pritchard and first Darren Timson.
Faster my, good evening. In cycling, another promising day played out for the teams of Manx competitors Matthew Bostock and Max Walker on day 4 of the 2023 Tour of Britain. Bostock's Bolton Equities Blackspoke team got their sprinter Rory Townsend into 11th come the finish, whilst Walker and his Trinity Racing squad got their sprinter Luke Lamberty up into 12th. Tomorrow's stage 5 will involve a 192.4 kilometre ride, starting and finishing in Felixstowe.
The Isle of Man Badminton Association is set to host trials to recruit players for the 23-24 season. The association says it's changing its performance pathway to create a more efficient transition for competitors from junior to senior county level. It's also hoped the new system will increase court time and fitness training across squads and make better use of local coaching resources. Sessions will take place tonight and next Wednesday from 7 to 8:30pm and 8:30 to 10pm for certain junior and senior players. For junior players under the age of 18 looking to be considered for the senior squad and previous members of the Junior A squad. Elsewhere, this Friday and next Friday there will be sessions for junior competitors from B team level to those who haven't been part of a squad previously. You can find details of the sessions at manxradio.com.
And in tennis, Castletown have been crowned the winners of this year's annual Todd Morden Shield after a closely fought tournament on Sunday at Ramsey Tennis Club. The 3-club doubles competition usually sees competitors from Castletown, Ramsey and Albany face off in a day of fixtures. However, this year, Albany were unable to field a team for the first time. The ladies' event saw Ramsey edge into the lead by 25 points to 18 through players Anna Kirk, Helen Brooks, Caitlin Henry and Alison Hart. Castletown, however, dominated the men's doubles as the pairings of Richard Grigine and Simon Martin and Herman Oberholzer and PJ Vermeulen won all 4 matches between them to see the Southern Club turn things around and take the tournament by 50 points to 39.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronaldsway, the 10 to 6 Loganair from Manchester came in 5 minutes early. Next, it's the 6:30 EasyJet from Belfast International. Then the 10 to 8 Loganair from London City, which will be delayed. We don't know till when. The 20:08 Loganair from Liverpool showing on time. And then it's the 25 to 9 inbound from London Gatwick EasyJet. Outbound tonight, well, the London City 4:30 is the one that's delayed. Outbound tonight, the 6:25 Loganair to Liverpool is on time. The 7 o'clock EasyJet to Belfast International on time. And last out tonight, the 9:05 EasyJet to London Gatwick. Near Foxdale on the road, Scarth Road's closed between Foxdale Road and Tosserby Road. Temporary lights near St John's between Ballacrane and Billig Bridge. Temporary lights in Kirkmichael through the village for work on the road service. In Ramsey, 24-hour lights on Richmond Road for pavement work and temporary lights on West Quay for emergency work on the harbour wall. Ballagorn Road's closed near Ballabeg for ditching work. East Quay closed in Peel between the House of Manannan and the road bridge. Temporary lights in Douglas on Victoria Road at the Falcon Cliff Terrace junction for watermaid work. Falcon Cliff Terrace is also closed there. Hillside Avenue Douglas closed for adjacent office window replacement till June next year. Mona Drive's closed between Empire Drive and Victoria Road for sewer lining works. And that work at Ballabruey Drive is put off until a week today, the 13th of September. Remember, the Newcastle Town Road's closed tonight between 6:30 and midnight between the Spring Valley Roundabout to the Mount Murray Back Road.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Concerns have been raised by a bus driver on the Isle of Man after the Department of Infrastructure removed protective screens from all vehicles. Here's Lewis Foster.
The driver says not having a screen is unthinkable. They wanted to stay anonymous, but in a statement to Manx Radio say, "I believe I caught COVID from the work environment, either due to screens being removed from buses or from other employees. I asked what the procedure was on testing positive, and I was told you can still work if you feel fit to, but will have to wear a mask. Once I discovered the screens were coming down, I raised this with my line management, who told me gleefully that it had been approved by them and the union, so there was nothing I could do about it. Once the screens came down, your senses were assaulted by underwashed or heavily perfumed body odours, and other drivers expressed similar sentiments to me," they say.
Well, in response, the DOI says the screens were installed at the start of the initial COVID outbreak to provide additional protection for drivers from the risk of viral transmission and are not designed or robust enough to work as security screens and are now approaching end of life. Many drivers were unhappy at the continued use of the screens as it restricts movement within the cab to a small degree and reduces the quality of the interactions with customers. The decision to remove the screens was taken with careful and protracted consideration after representations from the Joint Health and Safety Committee and a number of our drivers and the concurrence of the drivers' representatives. The department says it will continue to provide masks, sanitizer and gloves to drivers should any of them be concerned at the risk of contracting COVID or any other virus.
The Isle of Man in 30 minutes. Update on Manx Radio with Andy Wint.
The Manx resident who designed the initiative that gives small nations greater financial expertise says it's resulted in positive publicity for the Isle of Man. The small country's financial management programme was the idea of Tim Cullen MBE, who formerly worked for the World Bank. He says the programme's run in a very cost-effective way.
I think it's good value for money to actually, for these people to go on. If you put 24 people on a programme at Oxford, it would cost massively more than that because we were very tightly run and so on. I think one thing that's quite interesting in the early days when it first was floating the idea and we were discussing it, I did something which was a bit counterintuitive and people might say I had a bit of a cheek doing it. I told the politicians, mainly Alan Bell and then successors at Treasury, but at the time it was Alan Bell, that look, we want your money from the Isle of Man government because we couldn't raise it privately. The World Bank did actually give us money as well. The Commonwealth Secretary also gave us money, but for most of the time it's been entirely funded by the Isle of Man government, which we're immensely grateful. But I did say to them, you know, you'll be funding it, but actually you mustn't own it. It's very important that it's independent. So it was set up as a charity by the Attorney General's Chambers, helped us set it up and wrote all the articles and so on for us as a charity. And so independent of government, but clearly with the idea that it'll be helpful to the government, but the purpose of the charity is to help these small countries around the world and therefore doing good in international development terms is the purpose of it. And I said to them that it's best if it's this way, because that way, if it's independent, if it's part of government, it might be perceived externally as a PR exercise, which would not be as effective as keeping it independent for people like me and the participants to say, wow, what vision of the Isle of Man government to support this. And it took a lot of courage, I think, for Alan Bell and others to give it its full support right from the outset.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Dave Moore, producer Lewis Fosters, Howie Kane's here after the news at 6 with the arts programme Spotlight, Chris Kinley with Greatest Hits at 6:30. I'll be back tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT